Hello. Evening. Can you hear me? Are you there? We had a break. Well, I had a break. So this is now 3 weeks since I last sat here. You can hear me because I can hear myself lagging. There we go. Right, I need to close that. Okay, fine. Right, so you can hear me. Good. Who have we? We've got our apologies already from Sage. Not going to make it. Happy New Year, Sage, if you're watching this from the future. Sorry to have missed you this time. Hope you're well and catch up soon. The Bradys are in the house, as nobody says. Hello, Doug. Hello, Sam. And yes, you're there. Good evening. And everything's working. Excellent. So, there's so little to talk about in the world outside these four walls at the moment. It's a good job I've got stuff to discuss, really, isn't it? Because there's just nothing happening in the wider world. We just turn on the news and oh well. I'm not going to get started on any of that because really, what would be the point? The world has gone mad, but it regularly does. But generally, the trend is towards better things, and all we can do is wait for those better things to come along and do what we can to expedite those better things. Expedite. I don't know what expedite is. Perhaps I shouldn't have started on a beer. Expedite those things. So, yes. Where was I? Excuse me. I've titled this one just for lack of any ideas of what to say, even though it's been, like I say, I've had 2 Fridays that I've missed. But happy Christmas, everybody, and happy New Year. Titled this "Finishing a Book. How do you know when you're done?" Because it occurred to me today as I tinkered around with this final paragraph and thought I knew I was ending probably on the scene I was working on, and that was going to be the last one in the book. And I probably spent, I don't know, a good 15 minutes just on the last few paragraphs, just looking and thinking, okay, where am I going to leave this? But I knew I was there. But I didn't know exactly where that was going to be until today. I said at the beginning of this week, I thought I was probably 8,000 to 10,000 words away from the end of the book. And as it turns out, I was 11,000 words away from the end of the book, which is what I wrote this week. And yeah, got there. And I'll talk about the how you know when you at the end of a book in a minute, but I just wanted to say on this one specifically, this is for those of you who don't know what I've been working on over the last little while. I don't need these, do I? It's been Bedlam Boy Headphone Hair. That's not a new title, Bedlam Boy Headphone Hair. That would be weird, although still alliterative, which is good. Maybe that's a spin-off series, Headphone Hair. Anyway, yes, it's Bedlam Boy. Season 1 is done, which is Bedlam Boy 1, 2, and 3. So, of course, the idea, as you might expect, would be to do 4, 5, and 6, and then possibly 7, 8, and 9. So what I have actually done today is completed 9. So I've written 7, 8, and 9 in first draft form. I've written 4. So I've got 5 and 6 to write. And once those are done and everything's edited and polished and looking wonderful, fingers crossed, touch wood, I think the plan will be for me to release the Bedlam Boy books in the next 2 seasons, maybe one a month. So it'll take us through, by the time we get there, that's probably going to be March or possibly even April. Because I've done it the wrong way round, I have to wait to finish the next 2 and then get everything ship shape before I start releasing them. So it might be March or April, and then maybe release one a month, which will take us up to the end of the year. So it'll look like I'm being really productive after a bit of a fallow period, but it'll give me a chance to get stuck into something else at the same time. So if you are an advanced reader for me, or want to be for these ones, then drop me a line. If you were an advanced reader on the original Bedlam Boy, I will probably already have you on in a little email group, which I'll check when I get to that stage. I'm not quite there yet. The way I work is I go through the first draft again and write a second draft, which generally isn't a massive change, although first Bedlam Boy, I rewrote more than half of one episode, so that could happen. There are a couple of people who read it very early on. They call them alpha readers, apparently. I didn't know that. They'll get to read and just let me know. They're also writers. Let me know if there's any kind of problem that sticks out, that needs looking at, needs sorting out. Like, it is quite possible when you're writing a book, especially something like this, which the one 7, 8, and 9 that I've just finished, that's 114,000 words. That's the longest thing I've written since the first World Walker book, which was 116,000, I think. So it's I think that includes the author's note, actually. So it's probably the same length as the World Walker. So it's a lot longer than the first season of Bedlam Boy. So I will be probably trimming some fat from it. But there's a lot to get into before I even let anyone else get their mitts on it. So yes, I'm having a look now. Let me catch up with your comments. Hello, Lee. Nice to see you. We have Liz in. Excellent. Sam's asking if it was the next Bedlam Boy book, which yes, it is. Soon, Liz. If you want to be a beta reader, then let me know. But you'll have to send me an email, because just asking me on here won't work, because I'll forget. Oh, no pressure, Doug. Thanks. Oh, and Trish is in, but couldn't chat. And there you go. Nice to see you, and Happy New Year. Okay. Yeah. So from a writing point of view, how do you know when you're at the end? This is another one of those things that the more I talk about these sort of different elements of writing fiction, commercial fiction, the more I realize that it doesn't just vary from writer to writer, but almost every aspect of it varies from writer to writer and from book to book, even down to that level. So it's been different for me pretty much for every book. There have been some books where I absolutely knew what the ending was at some point during the book, never completely sure from the beginning, but at some point, maybe a third of the way through, halfway through, I would just realize that's it. That's where it's going to finish, and almost down to sort of the last line. The very last image of the book would be in my head, and I'd work towards it. But others, I'm trying to think. There was one definitely where I just had written a chapter. I knew we were somewhere near the end, but I'd written a chapter, finished. I just realized that was it. I sort of went to write the next chapter, and I thought, no, hang on. Actually, then I went back and made it more final, tightened it all up. But it's that was almost a surprise to me. With this one, it was, like I said at the beginning of this week, I knew I was getting there, and it was just a case of knowing exactly when it was going to be. And you also, I think, I've got to be open to changing that in the next draft. So although, yeah, it's done, it's finished, but the ending I have now, when I read through again and make notes over the next week or two, I may well find something in there that stands out as being maybe a better ending, or there are signposts to the ending I've already got that I should develop a little bit more. So it can still change now. So I wasn't going for clickbait with the title of this YouTube video, but the message basically is you kind of know when you know, and you do have to stop. That's the other thing. I've never met anyone like this yet, I don't think, but I've certainly read about people, and I've seen stuff online in Facebook groups, writers groups, where they seem to have books that just go on and on and on and never get finished. I think it's a really good idea if you can do it. It's easy to say, but to finish something, it's the same with music, and I've been guilty of this musically since I started writing, as I haven't written many songs or pieces of music, but I've gone back to it over Christmas when I wasn't writing quite as much. Took a few days off and picked up some bits of gear I've got that I play around with, and did manage to finish like 2 or 3 little bits of music, and that's really satisfying. And yeah, of course I could still go back and develop them more and add things, but as they are, they work as they are. There's an idea, it gets developed, and it comes to an end, and you learn a lot by ending things. You can learn. Everybody can start a book, and maybe everybody should. It's an interesting thing to do, but it can get quite obsessive. So I should warn you. It gets hard around the 20 to 30,000 mark for a lot of people. Some people earlier, some people later. If you can push through that, then you really should finish it, because once it's done, that's when you get to look at it as a whole and fix the things that don't work and polish it. Let me check on the comments. So that's basically all I had to say about it. So I don't know how useful that is, but if you're watching this as a writer or aspiring writer, although as someone pointed out on the Bestseller Experiment podcast, which I thoroughly recommend, by the way, if you don't already listen to it and you want to write, you should. On one of their episodes, a writer, and I can't remember who it was, if Sage was here, she would tell me, said, what on earth was I talking about? I'm going to watch this later and think, I started that sentence so brilliantly, and then I just ran out of steam, completely forgot what I was talking about. So if you're actually listening to me in real time, not in the future, write down in the comments what I was talking about, and I'll try and get my own thread. This is just Moretti. There's nothing in it. It's just beer. I'm just going to sit here now and wait for someone in the comments to tell me what I was talking about so I can finish that sentence. I know what it was. Aspiring writers. There's no such thing as an aspiring writer. Whoever this was said, if you're writing, you're a writer. And that's true. Yeah. It's if you can put sentences together and you've actually started something, then you're a writer. But until you finish something, then you haven't got much to show anyone else. I think that's the main thing. So get it done, knock it into some sort of shape, and then move on. If it didn't work, but you still feel it's an itch you want to scratch, then you've learned a lot during that process. So write something else, because you won't make those mistakes with the next one. You will find all new mistakes, which will be just as upsetting, and you will make those. And so it goes on. There are always new mistakes to find. I like the way everyone can't remember what I was talking about. That's great. Okay, let me just check out on the comments. Right, Clockwork Sherlock, yes, will be released on Kindle hopefully this month. I need to get hold of the artwork. That's the only thing at the moment that I need to do. The actual formatting of the finished ebook won't take long at all. So, that can all be done inside the day very, very easily. So once I've got the artwork, I'll probably just put it out there, and then I'll let everyone know. I have just bought an audio book. Yeah, I know some people don't like them at all. I read far more than I listen to things. I tend to listen to podcasts more than audiobooks, but I have just got the new Stephen Fry reading his favorite P.G. Wodehouse Jeeves stories, because they kind of beg to be read aloud. The language is so good, and they're so funny. So looking forward to that. Trish, I get the hint, and yes, it's finished. So yeah, let me do my thing. Get rid of the really embarrassing sentences, any errant apostrophes, and then the beta readers will get it, and we'll go through the process, and it'll be out there in the wild. One of these days, I'm going to have to sit down, go through these videos, and just look at books that people talk about that they're enjoying, and make a list to add to the probably 500 books in my to-be-read pile, just on the Kindle, never mind the ones on the shelves and in the massive pile next to my bed. But magical bookshop sounds good. I mean, that's two things right there. I don't mean hedge and cock. I mean magical and bookshop that I love. So are they good? That's what I want to know. No, it's definitely beer. Thank you, Liz. Oh yeah, of course. Dances with Wolves. That was a good film, wasn't it? I probably haven't seen it since it first came out, but it was. I remember enjoying it at the time. Trish, I think you are. Pretty sure you are. So that should be fine. Right. So I think I've covered what I wanted to say, which I'm just basically pleased I've got to the end. It's a relief every time when I get to the end of a book. It was a bit anticlimactic this time. I don't know why. Well, it's probably because I've got those other gaps to fill in with the other books. But when that whole thing is done and there'll be 6 new books to come out, that should be fun. And I don't think there'll be too massive a cut anywhere in the 3 I've just written. So I think season 3, certainly, I don't know about season 2, but season 3 will be there will be longer episodes there, certainly in the sort of latter episodes. I think the way it works pacing wise is it'll be spread out in that last book. There'll be longer episodes, I think. We'll find out. So yes, let's open up the floor to questions. I'm just hoping you might have one. Otherwise, this is going to be the shortest live stream so far. And we haven't even had Albie yet. I'll tell you why you think of questions. Well, the dog was here before I even started, sitting there, staring up at me because he knew I'd put some treats up here. He's given up now. So, Albs, come on. Come on then. Up you come. No, don't start sniffing. Come on. Ooh. Oh, blimey. Yes, good boy. Okay. Your adoring public awaits. It's hardly a trick, is it? It's a treat. You are so led by your stomach. Look at that. I mean, that's unbelievable. There you go. Oh. Okay. There's 2 more. All right. I can't make him do tricks, of course. I mean, normally he has to perform a little bit for a treat. He does. He's been taught by a child too. There's a little repertoire. He can do a twirl. He can roll over. He can do this thing now where he sort of sits up. Like, I suppose it's like sit up and beg, which he's quite proud of. He did it on his own today. He decided to do a sort of high five thing. He just appeared at the side of the table, so got right up on his hind legs and went like that for no apparent reason. One more, then you're done. Look at the size of that one. Amazing. It's huge, Albie. It's huge. Okay. Are you ready? Take it gently. Gently. Okay. All right. You happy? There's nothing more. I was making a Zoom call or something a couple of days ago, and he just launched himself onto my lap thinking it was a live stream because it'd been so long since I did one. And then he sniffed all around the keyboard and managed to remove the other person from the call, which was a bit naughty, wasn't it? There's nothing else. You can sniff all you like. Go and see Mum. Dressing gown woman's in the other room. Go on. Okay, let's have a look through. So these are the Liz Hedgecock Magical Bookshop ones. Short books, Bedlam Boy length. I like that. That should become a standard. We should measure them by Bedlam Boy length if they're sort of novella length. Forget that novella idea. We should just call them Bedlam Boy length. I like it. Easy readable story that keeps you interested. Can't ask for much more than that, really. 5 gone a piece. Giles Curtis. So many things to look at. Blimey. Good. Well, I'm not doing requests, Liz. It's not that night. That should be another night. However, it's on the old YouTube, isn't it? So I think it was probably the last one before Christmas. So you can watch it at your leisure. and hopefully enjoy it. Yes, Albie has been noticed, of course. Yes. Yeah, he had quite a decent amount of treats. What am I planning to write next? Well, before I get to that, let me just say, just notice that. Yeah, superb. Well done, Trish. Round of applause from everyone. That's a fantastic result. So, a complete non-profit book that Trish wrote. It's up on Amazon, and isn't that amazing? So, 350 quid for research into prostate cancer. Superb. What am I planning to write next? Okay, so I'm going to finish the Bedlam Boy series, so I have 9 books, which will probably be it. There's a kind of nice, having just finished it today, I can sort of say there's a kind of nice symmetry to the whole 9 at the moment, which if I never write anymore would be fine, because they all hang together nicely. After that, it'll be Clockwork Sherlock 2 next. I think, almost certainly. Which should take me up until possibly July, maybe even August, we'll see. And then I have a decision to make. I have a thriller that's 30-something thousand words already done that I started at the beginning of last year, which I left to write Bedlam Boy because it just seemed like such a good idea. And the slightly different format with the shorter books I was excited about, so I decided to do that next. So that's a female protagonist. It's a thriller. I think it's got a lot of potential, a lot of fun to be had. I really like her as a protagonist, so I will definitely be looking at that again. But there are other ideas in the notebooks too, and I'm sure there'll be more by the time I get to the summer. The fantasy one is still there in a notebook of its own, and I keep adding bits and pieces to it. And what I have got is a sort of a growing world, and the way it works, the sort of physics of it, the ideas of it, the not down quite to individual characters yet, but they're coming. There's a couple of ideas of characters that are starting to come together, and I don't want to give anything away, but there's really, I think, really quite different sort of fresh ideas. When I wrote the World Walker series, it's my first go at writing a novel, so yeah, there's some clumsy stuff in there, but I think people really responded to sort of some fresh ideas in the mix in a familiar genre, and I think this would be, I hope, would be the same kind of thing with this epic fantasy idea. It's got a real sort of twist to the genre, but would still be familiar. If you like those kind of books where there's a whole world built up around a number of protagonists, it's a big world geographically. There's some kind of magical side to it, although it may not be in the way that you think. And the sort of chronological scope of it can be pretty big as well. But like I say, with some twists to the genre as well. And lots of congratulations for Trish, well deserved. Clockwork Sherlock 2, Audible first, yes. So it has to be Audible first, but then it'll be 6 months later. So the timescales with those are completely different. You've almost got to think of them as something completely separate to all my other writing, because a lot of that will be dictated by Audible's release schedule, if it all goes ahead, which is much closer to traditional publishers. So they'll be looking at slots for, when I'm I deliver a first draft and it goes to an editor. They'll then be thinking ahead, a few months from there and looking at it. It won't be this year, will it? Even if I write fast and I get it to an editor in the summer, I'd be very surprised if we see it within 12 months. That's the honest truth. So we kind of have to put it aside. That's going to be a much longer process between books. But I can do lots more in the meantime because I'm still self-publishing and there's still other options out there too, I hope. Liz hasn't been paying attention. Liz, I just finished 7, 8, and 9. I wrote it out of order. So I've written 4, 7, 8, and 9. It's like George Lucas. So I've got 5 and 6 to write, basically. I need to go back and read 4 again because book 7, 8, and 9 came out of a tangent I started in. It may have even started on a live stream when someone was saying that they like the fact that I go off on tangents in the books. And I thought, yes, actually, it would be nice to have a kind of parallel story in Bedlam Boy, which speaks more about what he did before the first books. How he got to where he got to be, what kind of adventures he had on his way to his revenge story. And that turned into book 7, 8, and 9. What are you grumbling about, dog? You see your tail wagging. Are you in or out? What's happening? No comment? Okay. So yeah, 4 and 5 to write. That's the idea. Good point from Sam. Yeah, that can happen. They're more of a commitment, most of them. There are some that just concentrate on like a smaller cast, if you like. And again, it's the sort of scope of the thing. I think who was the what's the one I'm thinking of? Brandon Sanderson's first one, Mistborn. Can't remember the name of the first book. That's the only one I've read, but it's very good. And it's there is one main character and one kind of secondary character who we concentrate on. So although there's a big cast of characters, we see it through their eyes and their experiences, and mostly, like I say, through this one character. So that works really well. And it was brave, and it takes a lot of skill to do what George R.R. Martin did, which is to take an awful lot of characters and involve us in all of them. But he did it slowly. He started with I can't remember how many characters. If you haven't read the books, each chapter is from one character's point of view, and it just follows their story. But these stories might be at opposite ends of often are. So one might be right up in the north at the Wall, and the other one might be right in the south in King's Landing. And these different characters, and you might hear about some characters secondhand in one chapter, and then you get to see their point of view in a future chapter. And gradually that opened up, and obviously some characters died, so their chapters disappeared, and so it went on. It really worked well there, but that takes a lot of skill and a lot of planning, and I'm sure it can be done badly too. So yeah, if you're going to write a 9-book series like my mate Phil Quaintrell has just finished, or he's just finishing, he hasn't just finished, but he's on his way, he's well on his way to finishing a 9-book series, then you've got, they're all long books as well. If you're committed to them, then you're not going to get lost, I suppose. That's the other thing, is really, if you're getting into a book series like that, the best thing to do is to read them, I was going to say all in one go, but maybe that might be a bit too much, but to not leave too long between books. I think some people are obviously able to do that because, if they're released over a 5-year period, if people are reading them as they're released, then they have to refamiliarize themselves with the characters before they get going. There you go. Liz is having the same problem. You see, I quite like it, but it really does depend on the writer and depends on the book and the world. I'm trying to think of other books that do it, have vast casts of characters, and it's much more common, even in books with lots of characters, to focus in on just a very small group. Because of just that. If you're a reader, if you're not expecting to sit down with a book and read it for 3 hours at a stretch so that you're really in there, if you're going to bed and snatching sort of 15, 20 minutes before your eyes start to go, then you can't be going off head hopping into too many characters. You have to kind of stay close to certain characters so that we can see these other characters through their eyes, and that works. And on that note, I think I might draw things to a close. We've managed to avoid, I say we, I mean me. That was subtle. Have you showed off about me yet, says child one, like you said you wanted to over dinner, which, yes, I do. Yes, I absolutely must do that before I go. As some of you know, child one is now at university, although university is a very different experience these days. So it's been an interesting first term semester, in and out of lockdown, in a bubble. We're in this flat with strangers to start with, but they all seem to be getting on really well, which is great. And now back in the homestead and not able to go back to university till, I should imagine it will be March. We'll see how things develop. So there'll be lots of online learning. So it's a challenge. But they've made a great start, and good marks in their first essays and presentations. And they got one of their presentations was marked and came through on an email this morning. And there was lots of bouncing up and down and squealing because it was a first. Marked as a first. I was a very proud dad, I tell you. It was a great moment. So yes, very, very proud. And I think that presentation is available on video to watch, not generally, but I think I might get to see it. So I'm really happy about that as well. So yes, a first. So that's not a bad start, considering the times we're living through and the challenges to stay focused on work at that kind of level. I'm very impressed. So it's all going to start up again towards the end of this month, and child one will be studying and doing that in one room, the university course. We've got child two who's already gone back to school, but from the kitchen table. Earlier on today, I got back from my run to find child two running from the end of the garden to the front gate and back again, and skipping as part of PE. So there's some commitment going on there. That's pretty impressive. Dressing gown woman is also working from home from a table in the bedroom. This is and I'm here on the clickety-clackety keyboard, doing my every morning writing and then catching up on the sort of admin stuff in the afternoon. So it's a busy household and it's strange times, but we just gotta stay in and stay away from everybody. And it's the strangest time, isn't it, when someone says, you know, you can really, really help everyone else by staying away from everyone else. But if that's what we need to do, of course we'll do it. So got some congratulations coming in there. That's lovely. Well done, Ash. Glowing there, yeah. There speaks a teacher. Congratulations, Ash. The challenge is to keep it up. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, good point to draw to a close, I think. So stay safe, everyone. It's what everyone's saying now, isn't it? It's become as much of a cliche as saying it. We live in unprecedented times, but it's true. I want you to stay safe. So please stay away from everybody. We've now had close family members who've had COVID, and it's been frightening. Everyone's all right, so we feel lucky. It's not nice, so yeah, we've all got to do what we can. And if you're a writer or thinking about writing, and you have to stay away from everyone, it's kind of what you do as a writer anyway. So if you want to ever tempted to make a start, now's not a bad time. Carve out, just even if it's 200 words a day, like the bestseller experiment says. That's a really nice way of getting started. Just get yourself into a habit. More congratulations here. Yeah, get a dig in. Yes, they do take after them, of course. Right, so I'll see you all next time. I mean, I'll keep this going for now. We'll see how it goes. I tried to stop before. There were protests from at least 2 people. So for now, I'll keep it going, but I'll try and keep it fairly tight. We're at 36 minutes now, which is, I'd like to keep it to 30 if I can, just because if you're watching this from the future, it's a bit too rambly. I understand that. But it's quite nice in the moment to be a bit rambly and waffly. So I allow myself to do it. Anyways, it was nice to spend a bit of time with all of you, and I will see you next Friday at 8 o'clock. Bye for now.